All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Recovery Unplugged Live. We are here for episode 4. Happy New Year, everybody. What's up, Amy?
Nothing much. Just waiting for the middle of the month to get here. My manager is going to be packaging letters to Daniel and my memoir and recovery unplugged and taking it out to market basically and see
Okay.
what can happen.
Good. Good stuff. I like it. Thanks for sharing the post today.
Oh well, yeah. Right. I
It was
did.
like, I was like, oh, okay. We have an interview. I forgot. So my apologies, Joseph. I hope that I did you proud with the write up of of the episode. Thank you guys for joining. Um, Make sure that you guys are able to follow along with the chat. Thank you for being here. I'll be able to see who you are in just a second. But you can say hello in Facebook chat. And then if you guys have any questions at the end of the interview, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, any questions at the end of the interview, please stick around and type those in, and we'll bring those in live. So this is Recovery Unplugged Live. And we have Joseph R. Davis today. We're going to talk to Joseph in a minute. And Joseph, feel free to chime in whenever you want throughout this intro part. But this is where we kind of catch up with letters to Daniel and talk all things advocacy and mental health as an intro. So why don't you take it away, Amy? Give us some updates or give us some information or some hot topics for today.
Well, hot topic is the suckiest thing about having mental illness is dealing with the insurance company and the pharmacy.
How come?
So I got my QMB card reinstated. And what that is that is a Medicaid low income supplemental insurance to my Medicare. And it was designed to be reinstated on January 1st. And that was because Andy Bashir took over Matt Bevin, who tried to take apart Kentucky Connect and kick a bunch of people off insurance. So he reversed one of the requirements that Matt Bevin put on it that caused me to lose my supplemental insurance. And when I went to the pharmacy, they had originally quoted me $126 for 5 medications. When I got there, they told me it was $234 for my medications. So I had a bit of a heart attack, and I called mom and made sure it was okay for me to spend that much money
Right.
on meds. She goes, "Well, you need them, Amy."
Yeah.
So, and I'm lucky. See, not everybody has a parent or someone in their life who can do that. See, I right now I'm fortunate because I have that. And then so I tonight it was 10 till 8 p.m. And my insurance was still open. So I was trying to make sure I was going to get that premium taken care of too. So which would be covered by the QMB card. So I call, and I also have to pay my premium. So I'm dealing with this lady. She goes, "Well, we got to look at the Medicare database and make sure you actually have that." No, I thought I'd call and make it up for my health. You got to deal with this stuff. And so I was on the phone till basically I was on the phone till 8:30 paying my premium, and she's supposed to call. She said, "I'll call back today." It's 9:30. She's not
Wow.
going to be calling back today.
No.
I might get a call tomorrow.
Right. Because even if she's on Pacific time, that's 5:30.
Yes.
So, wow. So did the change like happen beginning of this year? Is that why?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. That happens fast, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, right
Sheesh.
away.
Yeah.
Right away. They don't give you they just pull the band-aid off. They go, "Oh,
Yep.
you need support. Too bad."
Well, not like that. It's more like, oh, regulations in place. Had to set up all of our systems to back the
Yeah,
regulation.
like a
You know,
copay could be like $65 one day, and then like New Year's Day, it's $85.
Wow.
Or the second it would be.
and they messed around with the nat look if I don't have a problem with everybody getting insurance. It's kind of like everybody, health insurance is freedom because then you don't have to worry if it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. You don't have to worry about, getting sticker shock when you go into the pharmacy
Right.
and the pharmacist looking at you like you're stupid and also like he's stupid. And and then what happens to me when that happens, I was alone. So it was taking him forever to figure out my new Medicaid card. And I'm standing there and I'm hot. And when I get hot, my anxiety starts to kind of
Right.
You get hot in the winter?
I had a jacket on and it was 60 degrees outside.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I
I
was
forgot you're down south.
and so I'm standing there and I'm waiting. It took me 45 minutes to get out of there. And even then it cost me $234.
Mm.
And I really, my heart goes out. I'm lucky. I consider myself lucky because my parents are alive and they're in a position to be able to help me.
Yep.
But and then I had stickers. They said, you haven't paid for November and December. Well, I paid in November, but apparently I didn't pay for November. So we get another big, it was like $62 to pay for my insurance. Now, that's not a lot for some people, but, if you've already paid $234, $62 is just a lot of money. I, I don't wish that battle on anyone. And I don't see the point of not giving everybody insurance because when people get sick, and I'm talking about your mental health or if you have something like diabetes, if you
Excuse me.
have insurance, you can't go to the doctor. And a lot of time in those cases end up in the ER and you end up paying more money than and not just you, like the government ends up paying more money
Mm-hmm.
because of everyone ending up in the emergency room because it's it's a battle and it's a nightmare and I'm just glad we've got I don't trust our state and Congress, but our governor, the teachers came out and voted, so we got a real governor. Nobody liked Matt Bevin, not even the Republicans, and he was a Republican. Mitch
Pretty bad.
McConnell, yeah, Mitch McConnell's guy who was voted attorney general. He's investigating his pardon. So, right,
You're doing something wrong if you're a Republican in Kentucky and you can't win.
yeah, it's right. I don't care. I want, when my mental health, I remember how bad it was. And if anybody's seen the movie knows how bad it was, I don't want to go back to where I was. I don't want to take a step backward. And so anytime like I can't get my meds or it scares me because it has like it as it would anybody.
Mm-hmm. When you
So,
say
right?
the movie, what are you referencing?
Letters to
Sorry,
Daniel.
helicopter flying
Oh.
overhead here. I
Letters
don't know
to
if you can hear
Daniel.
that.
What's that?
Sorry, I just had a helicopter flying overhead. It was I couldn't tell if you could hear it or not. I saw the.
I heard a buzz. Where are you located?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay. So is that what Ice Cube would reference as a ghetto bird?
Correct.
Run from the ghetto birds. That's kind of cool. We have never, a helicopter has not visited Recovery Unplugged Live yet.
Oh, well, we also live right next to the freeway, so it could be a police helicopter, it could be a traffic helicopter, news copter, it could be anything.
Yeah, the only helicopter, we have police helicopters in Cleveland, and we have the hospital helicopters for the trauma center.
Like the life
flight. Very rarely do we see news helicopters like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, Amy, what's new with Letters to Daniel before we show the trailer, and then then also do an introduction for Mr. Davis?
Okay, so what is new with Letters to Daniel is basically what I said. It's getting ready to be taken to market. We're working on putting Hollywood opens back up after the holidays, having been shut down. And she says that happens around the second week of January. So Krista, she's sweet. She's an angel. Um, I've dealt with enough unscrupulous characters to hope, she actually has what you would expect to see a manager to have. Uh, that and in February 17th, actually, Nova, the Northern Virginia Film and Music Festival, their official selections and nominations are announced. That is the next festival that Letters to Daniel is entered in. And I really, really want to get into that. And I really, really want to see some nominations, especially for my actors. For Megan and Jenny, and Brandon, because the top three those three actors are really the only ones who have enough screen time to warrant something like an award nomination. And Brandon even isn't in it that much, but he does so much with his time on screen, he might get it. But I think he's an outside shot. But Megan, who played me, was just like everybody who watches that movie said. I found Megan and Jenny through Thomas More, and Joseph knows who Thomas More is.
So, I consider Thomas a good friend. Yes.
Yeah. And he said, you gotta cast them. They're best friends in real life. And so he coaches them. See, right? I will say this. We saw a couple of people who would have been a solid Missy, but the edge that Jenny had was that she, just because there's chemistry in real life doesn't mean it always shows up on camera, but we got really lucky. And Megan is just like, I had seen Megan in Ruination, so I knew she could act. And I've seen a lot of Thomas's movies, and I know who he likes to use.
Right.
And I just can't believe she doesn't have an agent yet, because I said, you've got to make some trips either to the West Coast or to Atlanta and do some auditioning. Because and she goes, but I kind of, she was like, I got to take care of my parents. I said, well, then just make a trip, Target, schedule your time out, and go
a couple months out of the year where you're going to go there
and just audition. She's great. When everybody who watches it says, oh my God, I was like, well,
she did a good job playing a woman who was approaching a breakdown.
Right.
She played the whole spectrum, like when she's getting better. So she really had the most, we say Jenny had the most thankless task, because she had to be steady rock. She didn't get to explode. And there were several scenes that didn't make the cut because of audio problems. And Jenny's role was big anyway, but she had more, and you would have seen, she had more chances to flex when we were actually on set, and some of them just didn't make the cut. But
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, you want to use it, but I was I had to listen to my editor. Because I listened to the people, Clint was my editor, and he tells me, Amy, you don't really want to use that scene because the sound is really bad, because he moved around a lot and your sound person couldn't figure out where to put the boom. And there's just, it's frustrating losing scenes, but my hope is that Krista's plan is to try to get me to be able to remake Letters to Daniel with a larger budget. And then I would have a second crack at getting those scenes on camera.
Right.
In the movie.
Well, how many days did you say it took you to make that?
6.
6 days. I have only made shorts, and the shorts that we've made have been like 5 or 6 days to make shorts. So when you're making a feature length movie in 6 days, like, yowza. And I mean, kudos to you, because I've seen the movie myself and I was very impressed with what you guys pulled off in 6 days. Amazing. And yeah, you are insane to do a 6-day feature like that.
Does that
like,
mean that all of the people associated with her are also insane to be able to do
maybe a little.
They all came in, and you know what? There wasn't a single solitary ego on set. Everybody was just geared.
You would have came after us if our egos had shown up.
You might have met the ugly side of Amy. Missy,
there was one point where like there was like 1 or 2 points where I'm like, should I make a smart ass comment right now? Nah, I'm probably just gonna keep that to myself.
Well, Missy had this job. She was kind of like, she was the producer, even though we're listed 3 executive producers. She was the main producer. She produced. She was the producer with the big P, and that meant when I'm directing the people, she's taking care of everything else behind the scenes, so I can do that. And I meant to collaborate with her more because this is as much her story as it is mine. And she said, Amy, you were the queen of the side eye. You didn't say anything, but you just looked at me like you gave me a death stare anytime I tried to like suggest something. And she goes, I communicated, she goes, and I accepted that because I saw what you were doing. And I was probably manic because there was an interview before we actually shot, and I read it back, and it was like tons of run-on sentences, and I could just hear myself. But when all the scenes, behind the scenes photographs of me, I have like almost a vacant look on my face because I'm so stressed. But in the very last shot, we took a cast and crew photo. John had already left back for Ohio. But you know how at the end of the shoot, everybody gets together and everybody takes a shot?
Sure.
Yeah, that is the one shot where you can see there's actually joy in my eyes because it's over. Yeah, Mark, what was so great, what you missed, John, was after we said that's a wrap, he gave a full-on rendition of Rapper's Delight in the parking lot.
To the hip hop, to the hippity hip hip
hop.
Mark?
Yes, Mark Manis.
That's hilarious.
Did we videotape that? Like, that can be the intro to the show. I mean, what are we doing here?
Tim was like, I wish we'd been rolling on that. It was an experience I'll never forget. I've been on sets where there have been egos, and it has been a nightmare, and we only filmed 1 or 2 days. And at the end of those 1 or 2 days, I was like, I felt like kicking them in the butt and saying, please don't ever come back here.
All right. Well, go ahead. You go ahead. Finish and then let's watch the trailer.
Okay.
Yep. And
well, I did work. This is the 3rd film I've worked with Brandon on. So we took a little dramatic license with that character. Patrick did exist, but he was a skinny white blonde kid, and he had a car settlement, and he actually came up to us and lent us $50 because I was crying and he didn't know what. But Missy was like, I want a boyfriend. So that was the only kid. So I said, what the hell? I said, and we wanted an excuse to work with Brandon. So we added 2 or 3, maybe 4 scenes. So just know that is everything else. There might have been some, like scenes where they're talking that actually is getting information across, but it didn't happen exactly that way, but the information is true. But pretty much everything you see in that movie happened. Like all the another convention, like a festival runner director, said the revelation for me is that you and Missy argue, right? Because he's known us for a while on the local scene, and he's like, "No, you didn't fight." I'm like, "Just wait,
Ah,
just wait. We fought, and we and even in the movie, as bad as it was way more intense in real life
Oh, I'm sure.
because we did we knew which by that time we knew which buttons in us to push.
Right.
And apparently abandonment issues are part of bipolar disorder. So I'm always thinking she's gonna abandon me. And she's like, haven't I proven it to you? But okay, let's get to
all right, I'm muting you, Amy. And then when you're unmuted, the trailer will be over and the interview with Joseph R. Davis will begin.
Will you disappear?
Yes.
I better wait to switch to my questions because I didn't one time and I started and you were still in the room.
I'm going to mute you right now, but I'll let you know when we're back. All right, everyone, here's the trailers for Letters to Daniel, and we'll come back, and Amy will do her interview with Joseph R. Davis. Save your questions till the end, but feel free to comment as we go.
Dear Daniel Craig, life did not always look like this. This marked a moment of triumph, a way of crushing an abysmal past and daring those with a stereotypical view of those with mental illness to challenge me on any front. To many, this was just a documentary. For me and Missy, this was our life.
It's like my skin is coming off. And my thoughts, they're racing so fast. I can't keep up.
I'm suffering too, you know. You're not the only one.
It's like my mind is coming apart and I can't get it to come together.
I think it's more than just that. Amy's been having a really hard time lately. She goes on these crying jags. She explodes without warning. She's so angry and so paranoid these days. She's not the happy Amy that I remember from Kentucky.
She thinks you're manic depressive. I, however, do not. I think this is something you've been obsessing on. I believe that it's all in your head.
Just come here. We're going to get you some help. It'll be okay. You do have a diagnosis. You have rapid cycling manic depression.
Dear Daniel Craig, bipolar disorder and those that saw it as contagious sought to pull me under, snap me in half, break me down. Even those well-intentioned do-gooders who see therapy and medication as bad and wrong, who see mentally ill individuals as hapless and hopeless, they're wrong. I found hope in your work. A comrade in Missy, my rock when no one else understood. You two are my twin lights when this disease threatened to take me down. And treatment was what got me through. Thank you, Daniel, for your talent and your work. Thank you for everything. Sincerely, Amy McCorkle.
Okay, let's. Oh no, it won't pop up. Okay, here are the okay, scroll down. Oh, I hate my computer. Okay, tonight. Oh, I have. I can't believe this is happening. cannot. Okay. Oh no. Yes, it did. Okay, but it unstuck. It's like, ah, and now it's freezing again. Oof. Oof. Okay, I'm ready. Finally. I'm thrilled to have a fellow AOF MegaFest alum, artist, filmmaker, and creator of Sunny the Sad Doll, Joseph Davis, here tonight. Why don't we begin at the beginning and let's talk a little bit about the circumstances of how we met and what our experiences were like that year.
Okay. Well, we met at the last AOF to be held in Monrovia, California. And that was my first film fest ever. I remember we probably bumped into each other that first day. And Brian, my partner, and I went to go see the proof of concept of Letters to Daniel with a very, very intimate screening of, I think, like 6 other people.
Yeah. Yeah, some people walked out.
Well, I mean, I think that first off, it was a proof of concept, and we knew that going in. So we were there to see what it was all about and to get from one end to the other. Because you had talked a lot about how, what drew me to it was you talked about openly about your experience with mental illness, and that to me is like an important subject because I don't think it's talked about a lot. And depression and anxiety, these things are very prevalent in today's society, especially I think if you look at the younger generations, like they're just riddled with it. And I was anyway, I was drawn to it because it was about mental illness and it was about you're using your passion to basically heal yourself. That's how I saw it, or that's how I heard what you were saying to me was that you used this and channeled your depression and your bipolar and these other things into this creative process to kind of heal yourself and to make sense of it. And I get that because that's why I do it too, So yeah, that's where we met.
Yeah. Okay. When did you first get into filmmaking? And how old were you? And did you attend film school?
I did not attend film school. I got into it, let's see. If I am 42, and it was 7 years ago, so I would have been 35.
Okay.
And I met Brian Gerson, my filmmaking partner, and we made YouTube videos for a couple of years, and about three years in, we decided to make our first film. And that was the film we were showing at AOF the year we met you.
Okay, well, you kind of touched on this. You are partnered with Brian Gerson on your films. Tell me how that partnership came to be.
We both worked at this historic hotel that was, it was just kind of a really fancy place. And it was in Monrovia. It was actually just up the street from where AOF was held. And he was the front door guy and I was a security guard. And the hotel was empty. So we would hang out and talk all the time. And I had mentioned that I was working on a web series and I needed an editor. And he came in and edited that and edited a music video. And then from that point, we started working together. He would act and we would both kind of direct and edit, take turns. And we did that all the way up to now even. We still do that.
Okay. If you were to describe AOF MegaFest to someone planning on submitting and attending for the first time, how would you do it?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Okay. If you were to describe AOF to someone planning on submitting and attending for the first time, how would you do so?
I would tell them that AOF is kind of like a tight-knit community. Like there's a lot of filmmakers there that do a lot of different things. And there's a lot of filmmakers that are at varying degrees of experience. So I think that's one of the most amazing things about that festival is that for you and I, that first year, we were both doing something for the first time. And now, like, we run into people that were where we were last time, and then people that have done big films and done feature length films even. And I think that that's kind of the whole thing. Like me, myself, I've never made a feature. So I at least know people that have, and I can go to them and ask them because we're friends. Like, I know most of the people that worked on your film personally, and I consider to be friends. And then if not personally, I know them by proxy even. And those people all came through the
Del Weston School of Film.
Huh?
They all came through the Del Weston School of Film.
Right. Yeah. Like we all know each other through this event, and I feel like it's a very personal event. Everybody ends up knowing each other, and it feels like I like the way that your editor put it, Clint Gage. He says it's like a summer camp, like summer camp for filmmakers.
Yeah. Okay. Can you describe your process as a filmmaker? Take us from the beginning of a project to the end of one.
Well, usually we just kind of figure what can we do, because we're low to no budget. So we try to look at, well, where can we shoot it that we don't have to pay anything? And can we trade for an exterior shot of like the business sign or something? So we actually don't start with a story or anything. We try to figure out what we have. Then we figured out who's interested, who's willing to act for nothing, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's how we put a film together. Is we just ask people, well, we have this ability. What we can do is we can film it, we can direct it, and we can edit it, and then we'll submit it to fests, and that's basically what we offer. And so people will join our team for a couple of days or a week or a month to make a project.
That's funny because I came from the background of a novelist. So
right.
Every movie with me and Missy starts with the script.
Right.
And then we start, what can we get? Who will do this? Right. And sometimes we get what we want, and sometimes we have to make do with what we get.
Right. Yeah, we go backwards. We're like, what do we have? What can we do? How can we work it out? But we're also from the visual side, so all we really care about is the shots, and that they make sense in order. Brian and I often say, like, we would shoot silent films if we could, because we think that a lot of acting is told through facial expression and
yes,
and not through the dialogue and the words.
Well, as a writer, I feel like it's like a marriage of it's a total it's like someone called it the largest collaborative art form.
Oh, absolutely.
Because everybody for instance, with Letters, we had like 30 cast members, and I had the largest crew I'd ever had with 9. But that 9 people, I had a sound person for the first 3 days and a different sound person for the last 3 days. And someone said, well, no, you shouldn't do that because it's sound. It should always be one person. I'm like thinking, listen here. If you can, that's beautiful. But I got 2 people because that's how I could do it.
Look, there are shots in some of our movies where like 6 people are sitting around a table and one of them isn't there. And like we had to get them in later with 2 other people to make it look like they're in the position sitting with everybody, even though they're not there at all during the original recording. So yeah, we get it. Like you do what you can do. My friend Marcus, who produced our first 3 films, he likes to say or quote Ari from Entourage, which was on the day of shooting, 3 of the 4 horsemen die. What do you do?
Okay. Now I'm going to pivot. You have been very open and honest about your struggles with depression on social media, going so far to introduce a character, Sunny the Sad Doll, first through finished paintings, but finally through posts and pictures, and they grew to include your process of initial drawing to finished product. What inspired you to take this path?
Um, I feel like art has to say something, and I struggle with calling myself an artist a lot of the time because I believe that artists create something with deeper meaning than just a picture or just a photograph. Like an artist evokes something, and so I guess one, I wanted to challenge. I wanted to be able to challenge. I bring it back. I call it weaponizing my depression and anxiety. Is that I focus it into my creative process, and I try to include scenarios that I feel and that I want to put those out there. So I try to simplify it. I don't know. I feel like for me, it's been helpful to know that other people feel the way that I have felt. That I'm not alone in some of these feelings and even swings of I suffer from PTSD, so I have some of that comes in occasionally, and that's like I don't know. I just want people to be able to feel like I'm still connected and still part of the real world, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Your fiance has even created a crocheted Sunny the Sad doll.
Oh, that is not my fiance. That is a old high school friend of mine. She was in high school at the time, but she's an old friend of mine from like the high school days, who lives in Alabama actually. And when she first saw Sunny, she told me she was going to make a doll, and then she did. And then people have been ordering from her, and she custom makes them however you want. You know?
Well, okay, and you've had a Sunny the Sad doll art show. Last year, there was a Sunny the Sad doll animated film at AOF. Does creating Sunny give a feeling of catharsis where it comes to your depression, and how so?
I think so. Like I said, I think one of the most interesting things Sunny has done is it really does. People come to me and they say, I needed this today. I needed to hear this, and I feel like when people see that I'm just trying to convey what it's like to everyone, like this is what anxiety feels like to me. And so the fact that other people connect to that, I think, again, it makes me feel connected to the world, whereas I probably wouldn't otherwise, because you know how depression is. It likes to cut you off from everything.
Yeah.
It likes to isolate you.
Yeah. Artists just seem to disproportionately grapple with mental illness, whether depression, PTSD, anxiety, bipolar, and the like. Every filmmaker or screenwriter I've had the pleasure of meeting had something they were dealing with that no one else knew about. But they always, like you touched on, they always say something to me about it to me because of my project Letters to Daniel.
Right.
Is it that way for you with Sunny the Sad doll?
I think so. I think that, like I said, when you have depression, it's always trying to cut you off. And so you look for other people that are strong enough to talk about it, especially because there are so many people that don't. My best friend committed suicide when we were just kids, and, he never told anybody anything. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. And he wasn't a weak person. He was a very strong person. So to me, when I run into somebody like you that says, I suffer from this and I'm not scared to let people know about it, like that almost empowers me to think, well, if Amy can get out there and tell her story and not be scared of the repercussions, then maybe I can too. And I think that's what we offer to other people that see these things. So that's what I think Sunny offers to people. It gives them an opportunity to say, look, if this broken person can make sense of it, then maybe so can I,
Okay. Other than creating films and portraits, how do you manage your depression?
I use a combination of therapies. There's a lot of meditation, kind of grounding myself, trying to be in the moment, try not to let what I think is happening become the reality, or let me project it out into the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and therapy, if I can get it, or if I really feel like I need it, I'll go to therapy. And I try to avoid medications simply because I had a lot of medications early on in my childhood, and a lot of their side effects are suicidal thoughts and tendencies. And I feel like I'm already too high on that list. So yeah,
Well,
I just
that's a side effect of the medication, and you definitely, if you suffer from depression, you don't want to up the ante on that one. Um, I know not everybody can handle medication. Sometimes their body just
yeah.
won't won't deal with it. Okay, so if you don't mind, during your darker moments, what prompts you not to give up?
That's that's a really good question. Um, I think it's just trying to recognize that that's not true, and I think the process of practicing gratefulness, um, it allows me to take the focus off myself and put it onto somebody else, because it's like, okay, when I look at me, it's I maybe I'm garbage, or I have this negative self talk, right? But
Right.
then I think about like my life, my fiance, my filmmaking, my art, my friends, Brian, my cats, you know, the
Love the
things that really,
cats.
yeah, the things that really mean something to me, and it kind of brings me back and allows me to recognize like I can't let this thing get on top of me.
Yeah. Uh, okay, wrong one. Okay, so now let's have a little fun. If your life was a movie, what would the title be?
Life in the third person.
Why?
I mean, I feel like a good portion of my life I disassociated from. And so, yeah, I just feel like I'm viewing my life through the eyes of somebody else.
Hmm. Okay. If you could cast anyone in the cinematic universe to play you, who would it be?
Oh man, I have no idea. Maybe Seth Rogen.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Uh,
Okay. What is your favorite movie of all time?
my favorite movie of all time is probably True Romance.
Oh my, who's calling me? It's an 8 7. Okay. I'm like, what is an 800 number doing calling me at 10:14 at night?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm looking at my clock here. It's 7:14 here, 3 hours ahead.
Oh, that was my insurance company. I know it. I just hung up
Oh
on my
no!
insurance
Why would
company
they call you at 10 o'clock?
because why wouldn't they just wait until tomorrow? I'm gonna have to call them back and deal with them all over again tomorrow. Oh well, that's life. Why do you like why do you think True Romance is your favorite film of all time?
Um, because it's about love the hard way. It's about two people that are broken souls connecting, and then having an adventure together. And I know it's a little crazier than that.
Yeah.
But my takeaway is that in that is that, like, it was a couple of lonely, broken people, and they managed to make something good out of a terrible situation.
Okay.
And I'm also a big fan of Quentin Tarantino's writing.
Yeah, I mean, so am I. Uh, what is your favorite Sonny the Sad Doll project of all time?
Uh, I think the ones that we haven't even done yet are probably my favorite. The ones that I'm trying to dream up. Like, I think Brian and I are onto something clever, and hopefully it'll be cool. I hope
I,
people like it.
I bet people will. Y'all are talented.
Thank you.
Um, and finally, what words of comfort and wisdom do you have for other artists struggling not only to make a name for themselves, but grappling with depression as well?
I would say just focus it. take the anxiety, take all of it and prove yourself wrong. Like, I think that's what it is that you have to be active, you have to be proactive, and you have to take your mental health seriously, especially if you suffer from PTSD or anxiety, depression, bipolar. Like, you have to take it seriously. We don't have the luxury of passing on it. Like, you have to do what you can, and you have to take personal steps, not just active therapy, but you have to do active self-therapy, and you have to learn about these things as they come out. Like, I think it's just important. It's, self-care.
Yeah. Okay. Well, John, that's my last question. You got anything?
I don't have any questions. I would just like to say thank you. I thought it was a great interview, and I thought it was great perspective on being able to hone in your creativity. If there are individuals out there that are struggling or that do have mental health issues, and people that are caregivers and other advocates, it's important to understand. And it's so cool on how, Amy, you're really highlighting people that are just doing a great job of using creativity to overcome obstacles. It's awesome. So I would say thank you. I just appreciated the candor and the time that you took. I thought it was a good interview. So
thank you, John.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, there's no questions.
There's none. So what's next? What is next? So you said you have some episodes that you're looking forward to that are not done yet. When can people look forward to seeing the next one?
I think you'll see probably bits and pieces over the next few weeks of what we're working on. We're kind of putting together, we're keeping it super simple. If you've seen the other animations, they're not going to be that complex because those took hundreds of hours and we just don't have that kind of time. What we'd really like to do is try to bring another animator or somebody who's passionate about animation in to do that aspect, or, and at this point, it's just I think we're taking a visual poetry approach, and I think that's going to be the most fun of the whole thing, is that we're going to see Sunny in different scenarios and different coping mechanisms and different kind of, like, I guess, metaphors for the feelings of disassociation and depression and anxiety, and trying to cope with that stuff.
It's kind of cool. I mean, it really is. That intention for your product shows a very deliberate approach towards tackling some tougher issues. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
And next week's show is Barbara Ehrentrue.
Tell us about Barbara.
Barbara is...
We're doing this again next week?
Yes, we are.
I enjoyed the break.
I know you did. I went stir crazy. I was like, God, I feel like
Amy goes crazy if I say that I'm on vacation.
Oh, God. I'm like, what the hell?
Where are you going? I'm like, well, it is New Year's.
Okay, so Barbara is 76 years old, and she is a published author, and she has attended AOF. 5 years ago, her husband died. Her husband of 49 years passed, and I suggested she write a short script. She told me she would tell me stories about him, and she told me about how they first got together. And I said, you should totally turn that into a script. And then I told her, send me some photographs of you and your family, and of you and Hal, and I'll send you questions, because she's in Connecticut.
Okay.
And I said, and tell one of your daughters to ask you these questions and to record the interview. And so then I took those interviews and, like, put them with the pictures. And she's also a poet. She's also an award-winning published poet. And so I had her read the poetry she wrote about her and her husband I would have that playing over the pictures. And then there would be interviews with her, different stories about her life with them. And it was called Remembering Hal. And the sound on it was absolutely terrible. It was the worst stuff. I could not believe it got nominated for Best Short Documentary at AOF. I was like, floored. But she, at the same time, she sent the script and she sent the poem. So it's like those three projects supported one another. I think that's like when I did Letters to Daniel, I didn't expect the proof of concept to get in, to be honest with you. I thought it was too, I saw what AOF was. I was like, there's no way I'm getting into this festival. And so what I did, I asked Dell, I called, I said, Dell, I have a script, but I have a documentary. Do you want me to send the documentary to kind of shine a light on the script, what it's about? And then I also sent the short, the very short scene, and the one scene we filmed of them. I think even though those two girls ultimately backed out of the project, I thought we got lucky that they did, because we got something better. But I was so shocked when I was surprised that it got selected and the script got officially selected. I expected the script to get the nomination, but the proof of concept got 2 nominations. So I was like, what the hell? What Dell does is he sees talent, he sees the potential in each and every filmmaker that he gets movies for. And he accepts a lot of films. He doesn't accept every film, but if he sees something in you, he will do everything he can to cheer you on and to kind of nurture that. And it's like an AOF's like an incubator. Like, right, you go, and of course you find people for your team, like Mark and Clint. They're awesome people.
Yeah, I love Clint. Like whenever I really need some good advice from some wisdom, when I need some wisdom, he is the person I call.
Yeah, I work with him. Like, first he started to do he suggested color grades, and then slowly he did an alternate edit for my documentary, Something to Believe In. Now, it screened the Saturday before I arrived, so I didn't even see my documentary play, but I won Best Director Documentary, and he also did the color grade on it. So I had to pay, but it paid off, and right. and then he had a more active role as a traditional editor on, and he won. At the last festival we were at, I was nominated for director, he was nominated for editing, and we both won.
Nice. Congratulations. Oh yeah.
So it was nice. I don't know what the festival circuit's going to look like this year, but it's the best movie I've ever put out on it. So I'm proud of that movie. Just like,
well, you should be. I mean, that's really hard to do, to make a feature, and to do it well is even harder. And then you also kept your own authenticity. You kept your own voice, and especially as a female filmmaker, I hear it all the time that people try to step in and tell you what to do. And I think you mentioned that you were ruling with just making everybody do and bend to your will, which is what a director has to do sometimes.
But it wasn't like
you're responsible.
Well, I feel like what the great thing is, I had Mark on the set, and he didn't direct it, but he gave me all the benefit of his 33 years experience.
Right.
And he gave me the benefit of that experience, and I never once felt like he was trying to, and you can feel it when someone's trying to take over your film.
Right.
And I wasn't paranoid, which is amazing, because my mood was really elevated and expansive.
Nice.
It wasn't until the last day that Missy pulled me aside and said, "You are not going to talk to me like that in front of them." Because I got a little short. We were out in the heat, and I said, and I was mad at her. And she was right. See, she was in the right. And I didn't say anything, but I gave her the ugliest look. And but we did it away from the cast and crew. We did, to the cast and crew, we're a united front, because if they smell blood in the water, it's over. And she took care of, And one day I thought two of the scenes we had shot in a church we didn't get it because the camera started to overheat and it wouldn't play back. It was like
It was scary.
We shot the scenes and they were incredible. And I was like, oh, right. So the whole night I'm having a heart attack. And we get to the coffee shop the next morning. And so Doug says, I got to see if those, Mark goes, tell me if those two scenes are good, because we couldn't go. It didn't matter if I wanted to go back to the church because they were having Sunday school at that point.
Excuse me.
They were having church vacation Bible school, I mean. And Brandon was going to be leaving at the end of the shoot day, at the end of his scenes on Monday. And I was like, oh, crap. And I was like totally stressed out. I was like reached max. And I started crying. I said, Missy, they're ruined. I shot all this for nothing. And she goes, calm down, calm down. I started crying, but I wasn't the only one. We filmed another scene where Missy is going to see her father, when she's rushing to whenever he's in surgery to get a liver transplant. And Tim cried because he had lost his brother that year, and how whenever the guy who played my stepdad knocked on the door, that's how he found out. He was sleeping and someone came banging on his door and he found out his brother had overdosed. And then on Monday, when we're at the big house, that big living room where they sat on the floor, where the three of them sat on the floor, Doug had not slept at all the night before. And he basically collapsed into tears because he went, and he didn't sleep. And nobody can really do that. And it caught up to him. And so Missy was busy being the mother hen of the set during shooting. But John played John. Oh, I didn't admit he played Missy's dad in that one scene.
I got shot for 3 scenes and one of them made it, Joseph. I did a little bit of everything that week.
Well, one of them kind of made it. It's in the opening credits. It's you and Laura.
Okay. It's okay.
The guy who was supposed to play Missy's dad just no showed.
We're a minute and 20 seconds away from an hour, just so you know.
Well, when it's on Amazon or Netflix or whatever, and his name's not in the credits.
Yeah, exactly. That's when she would get the call. Like, hey, I was in there. What are you talking about? All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Recovery Unplugged Live. We will be back again next week. Joseph, thanks a lot, man. Good to meet you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Amy, nice work. And we will see you all somewhere
next week.